particularly your customers, who are obviously going to miss you lots.
Selected clientele, I call them.
I've only known Di for about 3 years,
About that.
3 or 4 years, but I know there's people here who have worked with Di for many more of her years.
Yes.
Di first started working for libraries back in the 60s, and you joined Suffolk in the 70s?
Yeah. 68 actually.
Oh, 68. And has worked her way up from mobile library assistant to assistant in charge in Bury and here, and then became the library manager here. I know she's going to be missed by lots and lots of people, and you've worked closely with Marianne for years and years and years.
I remember the first time I came to your library in this building, but much worse off, and doing Guinevere remembers this, and taking the books off the shelves and finding the most enormous spiders in the shelves. The poor things had got round the back and then died because they couldn't get out. And the memories are wonderful.
Thank you.
When we were preparing for today, I went and had a look through your personnel file.
Oh God.
It told me interesting things, like the fact you've been a special constable, and one of your application letters that said, I have taken but failed the library entrance exam.
That's the one.
I think you proved that you probably didn't really need that, and you've done all right without it. And there was a reference from one of your managers at Havering that said you were responsible, hard-working, and willing to take on responsibility beyond your years. So it was a really lovely reference, and I think that's true. From the time I've known you, you've worked really hard. You've always been responsible, and you've always just done everything you can to help me out. Definitely. So I want to thank you for everything you've done to help me in the past few years. And I'll stop now, so I stop embarrassing you. And these are just a few little tokens from your friends and colleagues. Oh, well, the bottom one is a token from your friends and colleagues, and the top one, I think you know what that is. And then he's got another bit as well.
Oh, yeah, very much. Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
3 cheers to Di.
Hooray!
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for coming too. It's lovely to see so many. And I see Phil. Hi, Phil. When I started in libraries in 1963, and I went to Romford, was my first library, and I went with my mum, because you did in those days for your interviews. And my mum was an audit clerk for a firm of accountants, and she said to the borough librarian, whose name was Mr. Humby, but everybody called him Bumble for good reason, she said, she can't add up, you know. He said, none of us can, madam, that's why we're here. So I knew I'd found my niche, you see. And from then I went to Harold Hill Library, which was the first library built in Essex after the war. And it was housed full of EastEnders. And it was like 2 boxes, one on top of the other. And if you stood at the counter and looked up, you could watch the legs running round the roof as the boys threw stones, and it was the only library I've ever worked in that got bullet holes in the windows. And there was one little boy once, he'd got a big pool of, well, it looked like water on the floor, but it obviously wasn't, and he was tossing matches into it. And he said, I said, what do you think you're doing? He said, it's only water and this. And I said, no, I don't think it is. And it wasn't, it was paraffin. And from there I went, that was where I met my future mother-in-law, because I worked with her, and my husband over there with the black jumper on. And then from there I went to Gideon Park Library, which was much more upper class really, and it was on the rail line to Liverpool Street. My son-in-law is a train driver, so he knows it well. And we used to wait for the trains to come in the evening, because you knew then you were going to have your little rush as all the commuters came off, went to the library, changed their books and went home, you see. And then John and I got married and we moved up to Suffolk, and I got myself a job on the mobile library, and with Kay. Where's Kay? Where's Kay? She was number 2 van, I was number 3. And the girl who had previously been there was an ex-policewoman, and she used to go out in the middle of the road in the morning and stop all the traffic and let the mobiles out, and then stick her fingers up as she got back on the van. Yeah, some good times. Do you remember Roger Swan?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Him and the van driver, Herbert Baxter. He and Herbert, one day, they took the notice out of the car park that said disabled parking only, and they were walking around the stack. If you don't know what the stack is, it's like a storeroom where you put all your reserve books. Walking around the stack singing We Shall Overcome at 5:30 in the evening. I never found out why. But dear old Herbert, we took a mobile to London, and Herbert was an ex-London bus driver, and the mobile library driver wouldn't drive through London. He said, I'll drive as far as the North Circular, because there was no M11, M25 in those days. He said, I'll drive as far as the North Circular, and then Herbert, you'll have to take over. So we had Mr. Tupling. Do you all remember Mr. Tupling?
Yes.
In the back, in his armchair, sliding from one side to the other. As Herbert took the corners a bit fast. And we got to Ealing anyway, and we had quite a nice day, and mobile meet. And then we all came back via the A11, and we stopped at a transport cafe on the way back, and there was a great big glass window with everybody, tables and chairs behind this plate glass window. As this mobile library came towards them and stopped 3 inches about from the bar, and everybody got up and ran. So we had many happy days, really. And from the mobile, I got a job back in Bury Library, because I had my 2 daughters, and she was 10 weeks old when I went back and worked.
I've grown.
She has grown. She's definitely grown.
Yeah.
And went back and worked in Bury Library, and then came here. And I've been here, and Helen, where's Helen? Not 36 years, Helen.
Got it
34.
wrong,
34. Helen's
Just
head
seems
of,
like
head of
36.
libraries in Suffolk at the moment, and she wrote a very nice bit in the last magazine. But anyway, it's been 34 lovely years. Thank you ever so much for everything, everybody. And nice to see you. And I hope, I'll be in and out on a Thursday. I'll be coming to annoy Janet. And I'm helping, where's Kay? I'm helping you on the 14th of December with Father Christmas. I am. And Phil, who used to be one of our team librarians, he used to work with my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Yes, he did, in Havering. And it was lovely, wasn't it?
It was.
It was, yes. My mother-in-law was the Interlending Library Loan Assistant. Yes. So, thank you everybody, and thank you ever so much for coming. And that's it.